And yeah, very warm welcome from our side for this last session of today's and concluding our 2 days of SAP online tracks that we did together with Vienna from the SAP Stammtisch Munich. And yeah, SAP Stormberg is calling, nice. And yeah, Thomas, I think you really don't need much introduction. You taking care about SAP developers and SAP communities, and give us an overview about what's in the box for the developers in the coming year, and perhaps I think you will also talk about Ticket. And without further ado, let's give it a go.
Good. Now, thank you first for inviting me again. Very happy, and I'm also want to big thanks from my side to all the folks who helped to put the event together. It's always great, and I'm just watching it across the globe where the inside tracks and now online tracks are popping up. So big thanks to the community there for making it happen. So let me share my screen because I prepared a few slides, but I definitely leave also some time for comments. Can you see the slides? Hope so. Yes, good. So I was like just compiling a little bit a look back, actually more of a look back than to look into what has been all done on the developer side and on the community side over the last year or since the last Inside track in Munich. And I must say, it always helps you to take this time and reflect back and like realizing then like after like so many slides, I think I have 10 slides here, that like, okay, there's a lot of like things which has happened over the last year and things are advancing much more than where we were, for example, 4 years ago. So one thing is, and you saw already Mario's here presenting from the advocates. So this is definitely a huge area where we made further investments also from the SAP side, because we see how much the content, the engagement of the advocates, the details help us in the community and in the developer outreach. And you probably also saw that we have, I call it some old new faces added to the team. So Tom Young and Rich Heilman also joined the team. And you also see like we still have a very technical coverage, but also the team is expanding into new areas and picking this up. And also to understand how we look at SAP, we have a lot of experts on the different products. So and this is the experts we are working with. But then our focus in the advocacy is to also go across. So and combining these things, like and trying this out, because that's what we see a lot of the needs are there from the outside world. And that's our big focus of the advocates. In addition, and this is maybe a program we haven't really talked about externally, but you might have realized there's some new faces popping in from time to time. And what we have started inside SAP to strengthen and to build out more of this developer focus, it's an advocate academy. So where we take between 5-6 people in for 3 to 6 months, and they're basically shadowing and working with the advocates, but also like taking their products out. And so you might have seen some new content around Ariba lately, where like one of the advocate in the academy is like coming from a consulting background and now taking that one, what they see, like how we're taking this information out to the developers, out for example, Ariba. So our goal is really like to build much more inside SAP up, the knowledge and what developers need out there. Another thing, and this was unfortunately how we were moved, and I still remember the March timeframe, and then I was supposed to fly to the US, and then everybody was like, okay, what's going on? And we had code jams scheduled, and I apologize for everybody, but I think you all understand that we had to cancel this. And I must also say we take it very careful. So it's not that we are said like in the summer, let's restart the code jams. We at SAP basically also look at the whole situation very careful. and you won't see a lot of like physical events over the next year, just to also to put it out. But what we did, and I was like, okay, now the advocates, they don't need to fly anymore, but like, where do we should go? And this is where we took up a lot onto the streaming video and virtual world. And DJ was already at that time leading with, I think, Friday morning, hands-on devs. But now you see Max, Marius, Rich, Thomas, like everybody off the team, like producing massively on the streaming and the content. And the interesting thing for us there is also that we saw how much these video content is popular. It's less that you might see like 25, 50 people being on an online stream, but then like the day after we have like 100, 200 people are watching these videos and consuming that. So this is definitely an area where we want to take much more in the future and also build this out. And you probably have seen this around Devtoberfest. I don't know how many hours, I need to ask Tom and the team like how many hours they have produced, but this was massively amount of information, and we want to continue that route. Of course, that also threw us a little bit into the other area. Like we pushed this all onto YouTube, and then we realized, oh, we need to put more help in there that you can find the content. So a lot of the video content, not only what we produce from the advocates and from the DevRel side, but also from the community side, podcasts, etc. This is now found a new home. It's called Community Live. It's in the community. URL is community.sap.com/media. But that's exactly where then you can search like by video. And for example, I want to see all the videos from Marius. I can find this. And this is like where we're constantly updating the content, also making sure that this is current, have more plans around this, because I think it is important for us to build it out even further. Since we are like on the developer side, it was also, you might have seen it already, we restructured a lot on the content, and there is more to come also in the future. How we present our content, because the biggest feedback what we got over last year, and we also did some surveys and insights, is how do we better structure what information is needed. This is also something I know it's coming from the community, from the developers out there. Can you guys just make it much easier for us to find the information? So there's, you see it already on the developer center, in the product pages. This is, for example, the HANA page. But I'm also definitely always interested about feedback. So please send me or the team feedback if that one is like the right information you find. But like, we want to basically make it much easier for you to find the right destination and get all the content. And if you ask me what's a big focus into next year, that will be a gigantic focus. And we are not only looking into the developer side and into the community, there is also an initiative coming up on our side where we're looking across SAP. Because we have way too many websites. This is known inside SAP. Now we're basically chunking through this whole thing and making sure that we put the right websites and information forward. Also on the developer side, and this is like definitely a discussion I have a lot lately and over last year, is developer tools. This is basically the most popular website in the developer center, where we see just like how many tools are available. Right now, what we did about a month ago is to restructure the website, make it easier than like if there's multiple versions that you have this in one place. We're still working on an updated version right now, where we even like further put more of these contents together for the developers. And so you have basically one place to go, where you get all the free tools, downloads. Again, this goes to the discussion before. We want to make it easier for you to find all the information, what is available. That said, we're also looking into the offerings, and there was a lot of discussion, I know, on the social media scene side about the free trial. There's more to come. Jürgen's statement you probably have seen in the community is something we're taking very serious at SAP. I'm definitely a big advocate internally for that one. that we get more out on the free version, so developers can learn, but also like build with these products and have a continuous way of accessing these information. So unfortunately, I don't have more to say today, but you hopefully will hear soon more around it. Also, search was a big thing for us in the community. I know Gregor spotted that one. I think like even before we announced it that we have it out. This is one thing where you now like in the community can much more do a targeted search. So if you're interested in CAP, for example, I can drill down here into the Q&A site and then also say like, oh, I only want to see questions which have been answered or open questions because I'm interested in answering questions or see like what the community is discussing. So this is one big thing. You will see the search now in the next wave coming out much broader throughout the different topics. And it is kind of like a central part behind the community on how we surface this information up. It's also something where we are looking a lot into the community on understanding where people are going, making recommendations. So I've seen this now when you pull up a question, you see the related blogs to it, vice versa. Now we're also looking into learning materials, tutorials that we bring this as related content also up in the community. And one more slide around UX. So there's a lot of like small changes in there. And this is just an example on how the answers have been evolved, like from making nicer code blocks and so on in there. Here you also see the related questions. There's one ask right now, if you come to the community and there's a pop-up coming up and says like, can you provide us feedback? Please say yes. It will not take you more than 5-10 minutes. But this stuff really helps us a lot, and also put in free text comments in the thing. So we're taking these surveys very serious. One thing for us was, for example, search. There was a lot of like feedback on search, and that definitely then we looked at exactly like, okay, what are the comments, what is coming in, and that's the stuff where we are improving. It's also working because the community is one of the top ranked websites from SAP just on the user experience, because that's exactly where we work very closely with everybody out there to get these features in, and constantly with the broader SAP team improve on that one. And then finally, so there is still time for a beer. TechEd, this is probably where I spent too many hours in the days, in the evenings, in the nights right now on it. It is a big thing. So we did the switch internally in April already, because we knew we cannot go forward with the physical event. It was planned end of September in Barcelona, and actually next week in Austin, in Texas. So for us, it was a gigantic shift over to run this as a virtual event. And I think also from the industry, we learned a lot. We collaborated with the other peers out there. And this was interesting for me to see, because everybody in the tech industry, and even if you're a competitor, or it looks like to the outside you're a competitor, we came together and looked into like, okay, how do we drive real good virtual events, and what needs to be done? And some of them, they had to be thrown in much earlier, but they helped us. We looked into like what worked, we gave feedback. So this was an interesting collaboration out there, and it's like really thumbs up to the broader tech community out there who works on this stuff. So for us, for TechEd, we put definitely the big thing out. It is open, and I think this is the biggest change for TechEd, and this is also where we're looking at the scale of the event, that we now can bring the TechEd content, which in the past combined Las Vegas, Barcelona, and Bangalore. We had about 15,000 people in. Some of the content was streamed out then on YouTube. But now our goal is really, first of all, TechEd is free. You just need to register for it. There is no any fees behind it. and we can get it to everybody across the globe. And that's our mission, that we want to get the information, which was in the past just accessible to a handful of people, to everybody out there. It is December 8th and 10th. So now the question is like, why is it 48 hours and 8th and 10th? There's one city in the world where it is exactly 2 days. The rest is 3 days. So that's an interesting thing. But like from thing is we push this out as around these 3 days to get the focus on it. But one important thing, like all the content, if you miss it, it is available after. So just to make it out there, like we want to get the content to as many people, and we know like 48 hours, you're at the customer, you have an important go live. That's exactly how we cater around it for TechEd. There is already DevToberfest, the pre-event hackathon going on, and lots of submission, a lot of interesting projects I see popping up. Don't have the number of the final attendees, but it was like a huge registration where we surprised a lot of people. We have 8 tracks this year, so we're also expanding a little bit. So new track is, for example, around CX, so customer experience was added now into TechEd. And like from the sessions overall, like 918 sessions, this includes also repeats and so on. So this is probably the bigger number. But just to compare to you, it is about the same amount of sessions we pushed out during the physical events and during TechEd in Barcelona. So one thing we said, we don't want to, because we're now going virtually, cut back on the content. We still want to have the same level of content allowed to go deeper. And this is also something where it is important we have live sessions in there. And also these live sessions, you will have, for example, expert Q&A, which is very similar to here. We use it via Zoom environment, but then you can interact with the experts from the product, ask questions, engage with them, put your questions forward. We also run workshops. That's a slightly modified version of the hands-on, but similar concept of the hands-on we had during TechEd. It's just harder. And thanks again, like to the advocates who were really at the forefront trying this out and working how you can do virtual hands-on sessions. It's not that easy because we have no control over the PCs and if someone is stuck out there in a different time zone. But this is exactly something where we still push forward to make it happen. And also a lot of the content is available. So if you don't have the hands-on live and you missed it, you still will find the content on GitHub later on. One thing is also we have a channel 1. This is kind of like our spotlight when you come into TechEd. If you don't know exactly where to go first, then visit us at channel 1. We'll see a lot of familiar faces, but it's also the keynotes, the strategy talks, the community talks, partner sessions, customer sessions. This is mostly happening in channel 1. And we also give the interactivity. So similar to here, where people are asking questions, this is like what we do in the sessions, but also a lot in channel 1, where you even can interact with our executives. So the website registration, last thing, should go live on Monday. I had other different days, a shorter link down there for the real URL. I put it in and accidentally then realized this afternoon, oops, somehow the registration is already live. So here I put the long one in, which is not allowing you to register yet because I think they wipe out the data on Sunday again. But like starting Monday, November 2nd, registration is going live. And you see now also in the November more promotion around it, and definitely look forward to welcome you all to TechEd. And with that, that's probably then the beer and question time.
Yeah, excellent. Well, on the point. Thank you, Thomas. And there is a question from Andreas. And Andreas, please just speak up and ask your question.
Yeah, hello, Thomas. I have a big burden with SAP support. Always when I have an incident, I have to create a ticket, and yeah, it takes mostly a long of time, and the gatekeeper tries me to import sometimes 1 or 2 S nodes, and after there is no effect, then maybe I can convince that he forwards the topic to the developer. Will there be a shortcut for direct speech developer face-to-face in the future? This will save a lot of time for me.
Yeah, so my first recommendation is try it through the community. And this is like something we are working, I don't know which area it is, but this is also an initiative we're driving on the community side to get more of the engineers directly engaged in the community. So some areas we have where there's enough experts in there. In some other areas, I must admit, we're still pushing with this. So this is also like stuff we are driving behind the scenes, that the executives and the product teams see how much support goes through the community. So this would be like one first thing. And maybe it's not only that SAP knows the solution, it's definitely like another good KPI or measurement is about 70% of all questions in the community are answered by other community members. It's only 30% where we, but I understand it's also like more specific ones where you need support.
It's more specific. I found the problem during debugging and now the exactly point where the error happened. But now I have to convince the gatekeeper that this is the error and not a S node 6 months old with a similar problem would solve the problem. So I know what to do, and I want to give my information directly to the developer. They can implement it, and I get the solution next day, well, the day after, and not in 2 months.
Yeah, so unfortunately that I can take, if you send it to me, I can take like such an example back to our support people where we also work with on the community. Is also, by the way, support is also looking into the community questions. But then, yeah, I understand if it's very specific, you need to go through support, but I would still encourage.
Because I need an S node at the end to import and to get a solution, to get the problem fixed. And so I understand if I'm a normal user, don't know what's in the backend happened, then I understand that you have to go the whole path through sub-support. But if you know, that's the point. And I don't want to make a modification by my own. I want an official solution because we have also different customers where they could have the same problem, and the modification, it's not the way to do it. But sometimes I'm get it pressed by the customer, by the project management. They need a solution now or the next days, and not waiting until 2 months. I can send you an example of a current problem we have, and maybe you can forward this. But that's
probably the easiest one, because like then I can see where the issues are and forward to the right people. If you need a connection, and maybe ask. It's pretty simple. It's Grassl on Twitter. Easy to remember.
But I don't want to bother you always.
Yeah, no, I cannot. It's not a call to everybody. Just send me all your support tickets. So please not. This is not something I can follow.
Maybe we can stop this right now and let's discuss in the Substammtisch session afterwards.
Yeah. So because there is one question which really also to my heart is, will there ever be a NetWeaver Developer Edition based on HANA? As an ABAP on HANA for developers?
Don't know. You probably worked also with your network into SAP.
Thomas, I tested something, but I can't say anything about it.
Yeah. Now let's take this offline. I know, like, I have an idea what you guys are doing, and I know that there was discussion. But I don't know what this was like a year back. I don't know what
there is progress, I can only tell. And yeah, so regarding the support discussion, let's really continue that in the Stammtisch if you have time, because that was from the comments that I've seen in the chat also a very pressing topic. Perhaps we can conclude with one request that Christian Braukmüller has. So Christian, please speak up.
Let's see if unmute works.
Yes.
Hope you can hear me.
Yep.
And when I saw your advocates list and the Advocate Academy, I thought it would be really good to have some new female role models in the advocate area. I think we lost at least 2. And I think it would be really helpful for the diversity we have in community events. There's always a low female ratio at Inside Tracks and Stammtisch, depending on where it is. But we have them, and I think it would be really helpful to have someone in place that is reflecting this part of the community. And the same with another diversity group. It's everyone who's not a developer. I think all the development content is very, very high quality at the moment that is provided by SAP. But from my point of view as a non-developer, it's pretty developer focused. Not sure how TechEd will be. Some parts of the announcement sounded very developer driven, and I think the Devtoberfest is for sure something for developers. But I know many basis people, architecture people, business consultants with some technical focus. They have taken a lot of with them with talking to all the people at the TechEd that had been there, speaking their language. And I think this is something we should not lose them in the community. It was always a challenge, but it's pretty much at the moment, I think.
So with diversity, it's definitely a big topic also. And like my team overall, I can tell you it's 54% female, if that's just like a diversity thing, like what we also focus, unfortunately, like right now in the advocacy team. But we also had like some of the in the academy coming in. Unfortunately, they wanted to also go back into their product roles as well. Like, so it's not like everybody is thing, but this is definitely one area we are looking. And from more the functional one, it's a little bit like right now, like I cannot take it on. Like our focus is very much like on the developers. So this is like I take the feedback and can use it internally to say, okay, we need to do more in this area. If you say like what you see on the developer, that's great. We need more of that one for the functional one as well. That's good stuff for me to hear to make the case then.
Good. So I think that was from the question queue I've seen. Thank you very much, Thomas. I hope you have time for some beer in the Stammtisch. Make sure that you catch the link in the chat. We will post it again. And now hand it over to our concluding wrap-up.